We are about to witness the craziest few nights in Raccoon City history. Or, well, Raccoon City's last few nights, period, really. Good morning, good evening, whatever time of day it is for you. Welcome to this thing that I do called Thor's Entertainment. I am Thor. I am beginning a playthrough of the Resident Evil 3 remake. Prior to this, I have already played through the remakes of the first and second Resident Evil. I finished those games with each playable character. I got the best endings in the first game, and I completed all the scenarios in the second game. With all of that knocked out, Resident Evil 3 is the next one to be explored. I will be beating the game on Inferno Mode, the hardest difficulty. Also, I'm not going to be using any infinite ammo weapons or any items from the shop. I will show all the cutscenes and view as many documents as I can, although I do end up missing a few. On top of that, I'm going to be earning the S rank by beating the game in less than 2 hours and saving no more than 5 times. With each of the previous Resident Evil games, I went ahead and beat them on the hardest difficulties as well, getting the highest ranking I could for each of those games, while also avoiding those infinite ammo weapons, so it just kind of made sense to continue the tradition here in Resident Evil 3, even though it kind of feels like Resident Evil 3 was balancing its hardest difficulty based on the infinite ammo weapons like the infinite ammo rocket launcher. I don't end up using any of that, so it's kind of a struggle at times. Out of all the characters and all the difficulties in the first 3 Resident Evil remakes, I feel like the Inferno mode of Resident Evil 3 has been by far the hardest one to beat with these standards. So yeah, I died an astronomical number of times before getting this successful gameplay, so let's go ahead and start checking it out.
This pandemic has spread faster than any disease in modern history.
Angry mobs roam the city, burning buildings. Authorities are bracing for more rioting tonight.
He was knocked unconscious yesterday.
A citywide emergency has been declared.
The CDC has quarantined the lower Midwestern region of the U.S.
Commitment, honesty, integrity, these are the core values that create the foundation for Umbrella. It's this foundation that will continue to build a brighter future for all of us.
Now I get to take control of Jill for the first time since Resident Evil 1. Not much happens in her apartment until you check out the running water in the bathroom though, so let's go ahead and do that. Alright, the apartment does have a few things for us to check out now that Jill is no longer having that intense dream. I will say I do take a moment to go over all the documents inside of Jill's apartment, so if you're not really interested in that and hearing what they have to say, then you might want to skip ahead a little bit for the actual gameplay. Because the apartment does have a few documents inside of it, and I am going to be narrating each of them. So the very first thing to notice is going to be Jill's evidence board, which has a bunch of documents connecting the Spencer Mansion incident from the very first game to this game. Whenever this gameplay was happening in real time, I was flipping through these documents in about a fraction of a second, so to read these off I am going to be using screenshots. First up is going to be Jill's report from September 26, 1998. It's already been 2 months since that mess with Umbrella. Thanks to the suspension, investigations haven't progressed exactly as I'd hoped. Perhaps this written record of what I have found will prove to be my final duty as a STARS officer. I can only hope that it helps lead to the truth. On the second page, it is titled the T-Virus. Those infected by this virus seem to become literal zombies. It appears to be communicable via several different avenues outlined below. A bite from an infected individual allowing the mixing of body fluids. Contact with crows which have eaten infected carrion. Also, due to the strength of the virus, airborne infection cannot be discounted. It should be noted that those who survived the incident have not yet developed symptoms. It is unclear whether this is because the virus has a long incubation period or because we just happen to be resistant to the infection. We ought to remain vigilant even after this investigation period ends. As for me, aside from my minor difficulties sleeping, I seem to be in fine shape. Still, I shouldn't get too hopeful. After all, this could just be an extended incubation. Now, this document definitely explains the crazy dream that we just saw for Jill. Even after all this time, she is concerned about the possibility of turning into a zombie even though she is still not showing any symptoms. The next document is going to be the investigation notes. The first page is titled Umbrella, Pharmaceuticals Company, Industrial Leader in Market Share. Focuses on military weapons development while maintaining cover as a pharmaceuticals company. Also secretly developing bioweapons. There was a T-virus outbreak at the Arklay Mountains Research Facility. Predicated the Mansion incident. Umbrella is conspiring with Raccoon City leadership, including large donations to Mayor Warren's office, so they effectively control the city. Alright, the second to last one is going to be titled Unsealed Envelope. They've got me pinned down at home. Guys across the street are watching me from their window 24/7. Are they Irons men? Umbrellas? I don't know, and there's no real difference anyway. I know what they're trying to do. They want to wear me down, torment me into compliance, and it's working. I'm barely eating, barely sleeping. I'm going crazy. I feel like the living dead. But I won't let them win. I have to get out of the city and find a way to make them accountable. They'll send people to silence me, of course. If you hear that I have been killed, or whatever it is they do to people like me, you must pick up the investigation where I left off. I've enclosed my files. They'll tell you everything you need to know, as long as the package is not intercepted. I'll be moving out at night in 5 days. Wish me luck. And as we are about to see, that escape plan never does end up happening, and I believe that letter was intended either for Barry Burton or Chris Redfield. Not really sure which. Alright, make note of the pizza on the table as we make our way to the bathroom. There is going to be a document next to that, but it can wait just a moment. We are starting Resident Evil 3 on September 28, which means this game takes place before, during, and after the events of Resident Evil 2. Only we are no longer playing as Leon and Claire, we are mostly going to be playing as Jill. Now Jill has her phone ringing in the background, but that is going to wait just a moment. Beside the pizza is going to be a document titled Message from a Colleague. To Jill Valentine. Hey hotshot, how you holding up? I still can't believe Iron suspended you. It's such bullshit. He ought to pin a medal on you for making it out of that hellhole back in July. Of course you're going to poke around and ask questions about it. I hope you're not mad at me for keeping my head down. Everything's been happening so fast. STARS has been the pride of the Force. When the Chief disbanded us out of nowhere, I thought for sure I was going to lose my job. Word has it you were planning to leave Raccoon City. I figured you wouldn't take the suspension lying down. Just promise me to watch your back. Umbrella won't sit by while you try to dismantle their business. Take care, Jill. Signed, Brad Vickers. Stars Alpha Team now and forever. P.S. Had to slip this message to the pizza guy to avoid detection. Enjoy the extra large Mega Meat Supreme. It's on me and the guys.
Who could that be? Hello?
Jill, are you okay?
Brad, is that you?
Listen, you gotta get out of there.
What are you talking about?
I don't have time to explain. You gotta get out of there right now.
All right, let me grab my... What the hell is that thing? What the hell? No way.
I only have a moment before Jill starts talking or another cutscene cuts me off. But this is going to be the first chase scene featuring Nemesis, but there are going to be plenty more. This one is by far the easiest and the least lethal. Okay, the introductory chase scene is now over and things only get harder from here.
Jill? Over here!
Brad!
You okay?
What was that thing?
Damned if I know. But right now it's got a hard-on for the only 2 stars left in town. You and me. I'm not sticking around. Just look around you. The longer we wait, the more screwed we are.
This all happened so fast.
I don't know. One fucked up thing always leads to another. It's like Arclay on steroids.
Really, Brad? You're gonna act like you didn't just hide in the helicopter the entire first game? Really?
Hey! Hey, wait! Down here! God damn it!
I'll be dreaming. How could this many people be infected? Brad! Here they come!
Here!
There's so many.
Just hug the barricade to the left and you should be fine, although you can die here, and I definitely have before.
Door behind you, go!
Don't think about it. We're gonna make a run for it.
Come on, Jill. We know how this ends.
No, I don't.
Are we still a team?
Always!
Then do me a favor. Don't fuck up like I did. Go!
I'm sorry, Brad.
That is really tough luck, Brad, but at least here in the remake you're not getting stabbed in the face by Nemesis. And after buying Jill pizza and then sacrificing your life to save her, you've done way more in this game in 2 minutes than you did in the entire first game. So good for you actually doing something. So Brad dies in both the remake and the original, but it happens way sooner in the game in the remake. So you are going to notice that I don't really fight any zombies in the early game. I either run away from them or I dodge them. Which brings me to the new mechanic introduced here in Resident Evil 3. You can now dodge the zombies.
Down there! Get to the parking garage roof!
Parking garage. Got it. Sir, are you alright?
Stay back! Don't come any closer!
Hey, come on. There's a helicopter waiting to take you to safety.
What safety? I'm not going out there!
The parking garage isn't far. I can...
The only safe place is in here!
That was Dariorosso. He can say a little bit more to Jill, but no amount of talking to him is going to change what happens. He will never leave that storage container, so it's kind of a waste of time. Instead, I have Jill leave him behind, grab some handgun ammunition, and start making her way to the parking garage. Going back to the dodging mechanic, you can use that against a zombie at any time, but if you time it just right whenever a zombie is raising its arms and grunting, you can perform a perfect dodge, guaranteeing that you get away from the zombie at least once. You will know whenever that happens because it's going to be a slow motion zoom in effect. You can even aim your gun during that for a slow motion counter shot, although that is not going to be important for a while. Whenever a zombie lunges at Jill, you will generally get by them whenever doing a perfect dodge, but they can lunge at you a second time immediately after that. So just be prepared to dodge again if you happen to hear another aggressive grunt. Although try not to dodge again unless you hear that, because if you end up dodging too soon, the zombie can still catch you. Also, if you do not get a perfect dodge whenever avoiding the zombie the first time, sometimes it can still catch you. And on the Inferno difficulty, getting caught by a zombie a single time can easily become a death.
Sorry. Come on. Start, damn it! It's my turn, bitch!
Hey, easy, lady. I got you.
Who are you? What are you doing?
Name's Carlos, and I'm saving you. Come on, let's get you someplace safe. I think we're in the clear.
Hope so.
We've been bringing survivors here.
Here where?
My guys have converted some subway cars into a shelter. It's safe.
I'm fine.
Personal space. Okay, I get it. Let's go. Oh, come on. Who's the dipshit that closed this? Sorry, we're gonna have to go around.
Hey, what do you know about that monster?
Nothing. I've never seen anything like it. But it's no zombie. It knows what it wants and won't stop till it gets it. Don't you like that in a man?
No thanks. He's all yours.
Listen, I promise you're in good hands. I'm with the Umbrella Biohazard Countermeasure Service. U.B.C.S. for short.
Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? You guys are the ones who caused all of this.
Whoa, 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 whoa. What are you talking about? Look, you don't have to trust me, but I'm going to the shelter. You coming?
Carlos kind of messed me up there by knocking me to the right. Ideally, I would have stayed on the left side. Whenever he kicks the door, if you are on the left side, you can just run straight through it. And Carlos runs faster than Jill here, so eventually he is going to catch up to you, but if you position yourself just right, he's going to run into the backside of you and then give you a propelling force forward. Whenever that happens, you can occasionally beat Carlos into the train.
Hey, Captain. This fine young lady could use our help.
Carlos, you didn't even think to ask fine young lady her name? She is an elite operative of RPD, Special Tactics and Rescue Service. Her name is something Valentine.
It's Jill.
Nice to meet you, Jill. I am U.B.C.S. platoon leader Mikhailviktor. My team was sent here to rescue civilians.
Right. How's that going for you?
The city is completely cut off, isolated. Most of the 100,000 civilians will wind up dead. Correction, undead. My platoon has suffered serious losses. Just keeping them alive is more than I can manage.
Well, you can thank your corporate overlords for that.
Yes. Well, we are doing all we can. If we can get this subway train moving, we can evacuate some survivors. But we need help. My men cannot do this alone.
All right. I'm in. But I am on their side, not yours.
Oh, hey. It's cool. We all want the same thing.
Thank you, Jill.
All right, Super Cop. Here you go. We can use this to stay in contact.
I know what a radio is.
Okay, first things first. We need to get you geared up. Head up to street level. You'll find supplies there.
All right.
Okay, to start off the game, there have been a bunch of rapid-fire cutscenes, so I have not been talking a whole lot up to this point. But those are about to slow down, so I'm going to have the opportunity to start talking about my gameplay and strategy going forward. Just before that, though, there's going to be another document over here. It's going to be the tabloid front page. The article is titled "The Cannibal Murders: A Complete Digest." In the gray of the morning of September 25th, a frantic caller telephoned the RPD to report an assault. A man described as disheveled like a vagrant was attacking a passerby north of the Lamb's Museum of Art. The responding officers discovered the mutilated corpse of a woman by some dumpsters nearby. Dozens of bite marks covered her body and she had been dismembered, suggesting she had been eaten. The third known incident of its kind to occur in Raccoon City this month. So who done it? Who has been munching on man steak? We here at News Comment have a gnawing feeling that the so-called cannibal disease patient Spencer Memorial has been providing free treatment for since August might not be settling for just the cafeteria food. Our reporters have infiltrated Spencer Memorial, asking the tough questions, and came back with horror stories that will make your stomach roll. Turn the page for the scoop.
Jill? It's me again. You topside yet?
Working on it. So what's the plan?
The old tanks got me clearing the tracks. You mind getting the subway infrastructure back online?
And how do I do that?
Let's start by restoring power. I'll navigate you to the substation once you hit the main road.
Copy that. Let's do this fast.
Now we grab every item in here. 2 green herbs, a red herb, a pouch that increases our inventory by 2 spaces, and the lightning hawk. which is one of the strongest weapons I will have in this playthrough. That might sound like an overpowered weapon to get this early in the game, but the ammo is very scarce, so it's going to be sparingly used.
More survivors. We've got to get that train moving.
I move over here, wait until the zombie's out of the way, and then run down the alley. Eventually, I run into a group of zombies eating somebody, I pick up a flash grenade, and then I go back into the alley and wait. And while I pick up that flash grenade and then wait in the alley for a moment, I suppose it is worth mentioning that I believe this is the only flash grenade that Jill has access to in the entire game. Now, it's not the only flash grenade in the game, but it is the only one for Jill that I am aware of, and I am going to need to hold on to that for a while. Once the zombies start getting close, I start walking down the alley. The first zombie cuts me off, so I dodge him, then circle the entire group of them around the rail on the sidewalk, using that as a buffer between me and them. Ideally, the alley gets cleared out entirely, but I had a straggler in this playthrough, so I needed to dodge one extra time, but that's no big deal. Well, I say no big deal, but I have died a bunch of times doing that, and then messing up the extra dodge. And then I have to do the entire Nemesis chase scene again, and whenever you have to do that every single time that you die, it gets old really quickly. I mean, it is cool the first couple of times, but after trying to get to my first target save point and starting the game over for hours, I have never wanted an option to skip that apartment segment more in my life. I am going to stop here and let the zombie break through that gate, that way the door does not hit Jill. Then I give the zombie a moment to recover, and whenever he decides to lunge at Jill, I dodge, and I try to perfect dodge through the gate before the door closes. I almost screw it up here and I have to sidestep my way through the door before the zombie can grab me, but that's okay. Even though breaking through that gate was how we met that zombie, he cannot break through it again.
Carlos, I've reached the main avenue. Which way do I go?
See a big transmission tower? That's the substation. You'll have to circle around through an alley to your right to get there.
You mean the alley that's on fire?
Maybe. Surely a tall drink of water like yourself can put out a few flames.
Fuck you.
I immediately run to the left in order to avoid being grabbed. Although I still needed to dodge a little bit. I could have killed the zombies by shooting the explosive barrel instead, but I would like to hold on to that barrel until later in the game, because eventually new zombies are introduced in that area and I'd rather use that explosive barrel on them later. After the zombies knock down the barricade, I had Jill run down the stairs towards Moon's Donuts. There is going to be a generator right by that store, so I get just close enough for the zombies on the ground to start rising up, and I shoot the generator, that way it temporarily electrocutes them and keeps them from getting to me. Making use of the stun time that I'm going to have because of that, I have Jill run right beside Moon's Donuts and pick up some more gunpowder, and then I should have just enough time to get her over to the fire escape and away from the zombies. All of that worked out, and now I'm inside the storage building trying to open up the safe. The safe combination is going to be 937, and after that we get an upgrade to the handgun. The upgrade is going to be a red dot sight that should improve our accuracy. And inside the drawer of this table is going to be some more standard gunpowder, which I'm pretty much exclusively using to make more handgun ammo early in the game. There is more handgun ammo behind the door, and there's also going to be a zombie hiding down the hall. I aim at head level in advance, and I try to get as many headshots as I can, and I almost screw up and get grabbed by the zombie, but fortunately, I shoot it just enough for the zombie to fall down, and then I can run away safely. From there, I just try to take as many shots as I can at the zombie while it is on the ground, and I try to finish the job before it can get back on its feet. The zombie falls to the ground one more time, but I go ahead and I pull out the knife just so I can stab it a few times and make sure this thing is dead. When I am done, I switch weapons to the Lightning Hawk. This is going to be the very first time that I use this weapon, and it's going to be a very important shot, because I need to take down 2 zombies with 1 bullet. I go out onto the fire escape, I line up my shot, and whenever one zombie is standing directly in front of the other, that is when I shoot. The zombie that was in the front should die instantly. The zombie in the back is going to be a parasite zombie, which just has a big parasite on its head. That one will usually live through the shot. And in this case, it took 1 extra handgun bullet to take it down. I try to conserve as much Lightning Hawk ammo as I can, but that is a situation where I absolutely need to use 1 bullet and exactly 1 bullet. If I use any more than that, I reluctantly usually will reset the game. Then outside the pharmacy was a zombie laying on the ground. I went ahead and I killed that one with the handgun, that way it would not be a problem later. Inside the pharmacy is going to be a green herb. There is also going to be some high-grade gunpowder, I immediately combine it with the one I already had in my inventory. That is going to give me 2 more bullets for the Lightning Hawk. There was also some more handgun ammo inside the pharmacy, but most importantly for me, there is a decorative box inside the pharmacy. It's going to be the first of 3. I want to get all of those, that way I'm able to access 3 optional items later on. And okay, after grabbing that, I went to the back entrance for Moon's Donuts. I found some more handgun ammo there. After that, I went inside and I took my time taking down the zombie at the door. No matter how many times Jill shoots that zombie, it is just going to ignore her. So take your time and line up your headshots, that way you are wasting as little ammo as possible. Speaking of ammo, there's some more handgun ammunition on the counter right by that zombie. The reason I decided to go inside Moon's Donuts right now is because my inventory is filling up very quickly. So I need to make some room, and fortunately for me, Moon's Donuts has a storage box. Using the storage box, I dropped off all of my healing items, the decorative box, and the flash grenade. That should give me enough inventory space to do everything that I need to between here and the next safe room. So after Moon's Donuts, I went into the subway management building. There is going to be a fire hose inside of there that we need to collect. There was also a hand grenade that is going to be very useful later. Now when picking up the fire hose, know that the moment you pick up that fire hose, the door right beside it is going to be broken open, and then 2 zombies are going to come out. One of them is going to be a normal zombie, and one of them is going to be a parasite zombie. I switch back to the Lightning Hawk, that way I can deal with the parasite zombie, and just like before, I aim at head level in anticipation of the zombie coming around the corner. Ideally, I would kill that parasite zombie with only 1 Lightning Hawk bullet, but I am willing to spend 2 of those bullets. Now, super unfortunately, somehow 2 bullets still was not enough. So I had to switch to the handgun in order to finish the job. Luckily, it did not take too many handgun bullets to finish off that parasite zombie, and it happened just in time because the regular zombie started coming around the corner right after that. Now, I will wholly admit that my aim completely sucked against that regular zombie, and I just barely managed to get out of the building before it could grab me and hurt me. And again, this is Inferno Mode, so it easily could kill me by grabbing me one time. After that, I take my time opening the door to the management building, and then I see exactly where that zombie is. Fortunately, it will not come through the door after me, so I can open the door, line up my shot, and shoot it, and then let the door close before the zombie gets too close. Taking my time like that, I eventually do kill off that zombie. Then I go on to do something very similar with the 3rd and final zombie, which is going to be 1 more parasite zombie. And, like I mentioned earlier, ideally I would only use 1 Lightning Hawk bullet per parasite zombie. Although I am willing to use 2. And in this case, yet again, I needed 2 Lightning Hawk bullets and a little bit of handgun ammo. So I am kind of going over what I would like to use with the Lightning Hawk bullets, but so far, I am still mostly on pace with the amount of ammo I wanted to spend. Now I am taking my time killing off these zombies because I do need to return here later on. And I would rather do that without all these zombies waiting for me whenever I come back. I mostly feel that way because if any of these zombies are going to kill me, I would rather it happen now. At least if it happens now, it's happening earlier, so I am wasting less time if I need to reset. Whereas if I wait till later for the zombies to be taken care of, and instead they kill me, well, I just spent a lot of extra time doing a bunch of other things before they killed me. So that's even more time wasted. So yeah, I would rather make sure they are not going to be a problem early on. And now I'm able to go back into the main office area. Inside of the lockers, I was able to find some more high-grade gunpowder and another hand grenade. And I also found another document. This one is titled The Subway Employee's Memo. This one says, violence getting worse and worse these past few days. Got a shotgun for when it hits the breaking point. Locking it up in the gun rack. That should keep it safe from any would-be looters while I go out and try to find some more shells. If things go south, cut the chain and bust that sucker out. I pray we all make it out alive. So now we know inside that building is a shotgun that we want. We just need to find something to break the chain. Although getting that weapon is going to be a secondary objective, the main one is still to get that fire extinguished by where Carlos was talking to us on the radio. Now that we have the fire hose from inside the subway station's management building, we should be able to go all the way back there and connect the fire hose to a fire hydrant and use that water to extinguish the fire. I cut through the storage building and back to the really long fire escape that we use as a walkway. I am going to find a few additional items up there as well. There is going to be a breakable crate that we can open up and find a red herb. Using and combining that with one of the green herbs, we can make a green-red combination. That will fully heal us in the event we are very low on health. Also up there are going to be 2 zombies, one is lying on the ground and the other is eating a dead body. As luck would have it, there is an explosive barrel directly beside both of them. So I am able to shoot that and blow them both up. And the dead body that was being eaten has some gunpowder on it, and I take that with me. The last major thing to happen on the fire escape is that I lower the ladder to the street. That ladder is going to provide us with a very useful alternative way of getting around this area. I will definitely be using it whenever I backtrack here later on. Climbing down that takes me back to the point where I was talking to Carlos on the radio earlier and where the barricade fell. Going through a nearby gate takes us to the fire and a fire hydrant that we can use.
There.
Okay, the fire is gone, and now we are opening up more of the city. And inside this garage, we find some bolt cutters that we can use to break some chains.
Is someone in here?
Okay, here's the new plan. Drop off the grenades, investigate the noise, progress far enough to get the lockpick item, backtrack to get the shotgun, and use the bolt cutters and the lockpick to get all the optional items in one backtracking trip. Sound good? Alright, let's do it.
You're U.B.C.S?
Yeah, careful. Come on, don't look at me like that, alright? I'm not infected. No, wait, please!
What the fuck?
He was infected.
He might have been infected.
Oh, stars this soft. No wonder so many of you dead.
And what are you, U.B.C.S? Killing your own people?
He would have turned. There's your sense of self-preservation. Go back to the subway station. We don't need a bleeding heart like you getting in the way.
Alright, that is Nikolai, and this was Murphy. And right next to Murphy is going to be another document. I picked that up and read it real quick. The title of this document is Training Log. July 10th, 202 pounds, 12 laps of the yard, 2 circuits. Suck it, prison. The Umbrella Corporation just recruited me for a job. Don't know how they are going to wipe out a life sentence for murdering 20 gangbangers, but whatever. I will take it, beat shitting away the rest of my days behind bars. I gotta get back into shape. July 26, 196 pounds, 20 kilometer run, 3 circuits. Target practice at 400 yards, 5 misses. Caught the chain yesterday and got moved to a U.B.C.S. training camp, where I fired my first bullet in 2 whole years. Missed a stationary target by 5 inches at 400 yards. I never fucking do that. It's like I forgot everything. Doesn't matter, I'll get sharp again. Watch me. August 15th, 190 pounds, 30 kilometer run, 3 circuits, target practice at 600 yards, 2 misses. Okay, I've got my shot grouping down to 3 inches. Feeling good. After lunch, they put me through my first mock battle. The Cap and the other guys are good people, and goddamn beasts of war at that. But what the fuck is up with that lunatic Nikolai? He used me like a fucking human shield, just to score some extra points. September 25th, 181 pounds, 30 kilometer run, 4 circuits, target practice at 600 yards, no misses. Murphy's back, baby. You'll never see me miss another target. Tomorrow I go on my first mission. Riot control in Raccoon City. I think Jimmy would have liked that. My brother was always the first to reach out and help people, right up until those street punks took him away from me. Now it's my turn to do some good for a change, the way I know best. And that is going to be pretty much everything we learn about murphyseeker in this game. His brother was killed by a group of people and then he in turn killed them, which resulted in him going to prison and serving a life sentence, at least until Umbrella stepped in and said he was useful enough to release. And after working really hard to change his life and get back into shape, well, things come to an end very quickly. Murphy dies really early here in the remake of Resident Evil 3. His death actually came a bit later in the original game, but even so, he's still on screen for about the same amount of time. So regardless of which game we are talking about, Murphy is barely in it. Alright, next up is going to be the document Suicide Note. September 28. The Middle East, Eastern Europe, East Africa. I thought I knew what hell was. Figured I'd never crack, no matter what was thrown at me. But this job, this was supposed to be easy. A quick wage, but I would earn it. It all happened at once. There were 30 guys in our squad, all armed with state-of-the-art assault rifles, and yet we were wiped out in less than 48 hours. I have been through enough shit to know it only ever gets worse. And if that was just the beginning, maybe I'm a coward. I don't care. This is the only way out that I have left. I just hope my body doesn't get back up after I pull the trigger. And okay, there's just one more document on the wall over here, but I'm not going to bother narrating that one. It just says that there have been power outages lately, which is why the generators are all around the city, and they are just waiting for me to shoot them so I can stun some zombies. Speaking of which, zombie dogs run down this alley. I need to shoot that generator whenever they get close, and then kill them off whenever they are stunned. This is a good time to mention that Resident Evil 3 removes the defensive items from Resident Evil 2. This is mention-worthy because I end up not realizing a zombie dog survived. Then it goes on to pounce on me and then nearly kill me. Back in Resident Evil 2, I could have used a defensive item like a knife, a flash grenade, or a hand grenade, and whenever an enemy like that dog pins you down, you could use those defensive weapons as a way of getting the enemy off of you before you end up taking any damage. However, that is not a thing anymore. Instead, I still get the knife, the flash grenade, and the hand grenade, and those can all still be used offensively. Like I can still throw the various grenades, and now the knife is unbreakable, so it's always going to be with me. But those items can no longer bail me out if I get grabbed or pounced on. So the big thing that replaced those defensive weapons is going to be the ability to dodge. You have been seeing me do that throughout the game, and I have to say I think I liked the defensive weapons more. Dodging is nice and it does not take any resources to do it, but using the defensive weapons just seemed way more consistent. But anyway, that is the situation I find myself in now. And now I have to button mash whenever I get attacked, which rarely ever saves me on this difficulty. I'm actually surprised I survived against that dog. But somehow I did, and then I slowly took out the parasite zombies that were beyond the fence line. I stayed far enough away to where they would not try to attack me, and then I just shot them in the back of the head enough times until they died. Now I have finally reached the substation. I'm trying to get around these zombies. I'm going to have to dodge 2 of them. This is the first one. And then I run up the stairs as quickly as I can before that zombie can turn around. Then I dodge the second one. Then I run all the way to the top of the stairs and I grab the red herb along the way. I do not want to deal with those zombies whatsoever because once I'm done inside of the safe room and then just beyond the safe room, whenever I do need to backtrack through that area with the zombies, they are no longer going to be there anymore. They disappear, they despawn, they are not going to be a problem. So doing anything other than dodging them is a complete waste of time.
It smells like... Oh, I don't even want to think about it.
So if you ended up taking damage like I did before reaching this point, do not panic, just keep going. Because you are required to heal at least once in this game, and it's about to happen, and this document explains why. The document is titled, Green Herbs, They Work. It was starting to look like Chad was never going to come back from his rounds, so I poked my head in there, and fuck me, the next thing I knew, I've got some kind of maggot squirming around down my throat. I was gagging and heaving, and those little bastards didn't seem to mind none. They just wouldn't come up. I was staggering around like a madman, and then I saw it. A green herb. My grandma once told me that green herbs were a natural bug deterrent. So I grabbed one and shoved it down my gob and swallowed. And what do you know? The little things didn't want to be in there anymore. I have never been so happy to throw up. I'm gonna head back out there to look for Chad. If anyone else sees this, remember, eat your greens. So something happened to that guy where he had a bunch of bugs inside of him, and then a green herb was the only way to get them out. And on that note... Okay, now this mechanic only ever happens at this part of the game. It never comes up again. If one of those zombie bugs attacks you and puts larvae inside of you, the only way to get the larva out is to use a healing item. After unlocking the door, that is the one time you are guaranteed to have parasites inside of you that you need to get out. And because of that, that is the one time in the game where you are required to heal yourself. So if you take damage prior to reaching that point, do not heal immediately, because if you heal any sooner, you're just going to have to heal again here anyway. You may as well reduce the amount of healing items that you need to use. And now that I have the lockpick, it is time to start backtracking the previous areas. My first stop is going to be the warehouse part of the substation where those 3 zombies were earlier. Just like I mentioned, those zombies are now gone. They despawn for some reason after you get the lockpick or around that time. So now I am free to get the items from the lockers without there being anything around to attack me. This is also the major reason why I took my time taking down the parasite zombies that were beyond the fence line to my left. because trying to dodge their tentacle attacks is a gigantic pain, and with me needing to backtrack anyway, I did not like the idea of having to try and dodge them multiple times. They would probably end up killing me at some point, or I'd end up wasting a bunch of healing items. It is way better just to take the time to shoot them and take them down permanently, that way I do not have to worry about it. After getting back inside the garage safe room, I lockpick and open a locker. Inside of it's going to be a first aid spray. Then I take the time to deposit all of my gunpowder and my healing items. I am going to need a decent amount of space in my inventory in order to get all the items I need on this run. The first two places I'm going to be visiting are the neighboring stores, which is going to include a toy store and a grocery store. Inside of those, there is going to be some magnum ammunition, there's going to be some high-grade gunpowder, and another first aid spray. But first, I do need to get by the zombies I left behind earlier. I'm going to have to dodge those. I dodged the first one, then I have to dodge another one, just barely actually. I only just managed to run away from it. And while I am lockpicking my way into the toy store to get the magnum ammunition, I should probably go ahead and say that, if you have not noticed it already, dodging is going to be a massive part of this game. I have done it somewhat sparingly up to this point, but I have been doing it a decent amount, and I am only going to need to dodge even more as the game goes on. So that being said, the amount that you enjoy this game, actually not just the amount that you enjoy it, the amount of success that you have in this game is going to be really dependent on you just becoming okay or average at dodging. Because I did realize you can compensate for less than ideal dodging, at least until the very end of the game. Whenever you reach that point with the final two bosses, you do actually have to be pretty good at dodging. However, if you only become good at dodging those two bosses, I think you're going to be alright. The rest of the game is going to be difficult for you, but you can brute force your way through it. And I do mean brute forcing your way through it because it took me hours. Actually, you know what? Hours really does not do it justice. It took me days. It ended up taking me several days to beat this game, and remember, the final completion time accounting only for your in-game time cannot be over 2 hours, or else you do not get the S rank. So it took me several days to beat a game in 2 hours. And at times it was a pretty miserable experience because I was terrible at dodging. However, after dying triple-digit numbers of times, eventually I did get the job done. And I was terrible at dodging, so if I could do it, I believe in you. Okay, in the storage building where we opened up the safe and got the red dot scope for the pistol, the dead body that was in there has now risen up as a full-fledged zombie. Fortunately, it does not become active unless you are in the room with it, so we can open the door and take our time and do a bunch of headshots from the safety of the door, and then we can take it out with pretty minimal risk. This is definitely an example of me compensating for being bad at dodging, because a better player would probably just dodge this zombie. But in my experience, too much can go wrong whenever I get risky with the dodging, so I would rather not die and have to start the entire game over again, because at this point I am getting really close to saving for the first time in the game. And it would really suck to die now and then have to start all the way over again knowing I was just about to save. And then I would never have to run away from Nemesis in the apartment again. It is just really hard for me to express exactly how annoying or frustrating it is to do that cutscene over and over and over again at the beginning of the game, knowing you cannot skip it. After doing that like 80 times, I never want to see it again. Alright, now I am back at the subway management building where I took out the parasite zombies earlier. While I was taking my time getting back here, I made sure to break every set of chains I saw with the bolt cutters. That way the very last chain that I break is going to be the one that is keeping us from getting the shotgun. After that, there are not going to be any more chains for us to break, so we will be free to go ahead and get rid of the bolt cutters. Also, while we are back in the management building, I go ahead and use the lockpick to open up one of the lockers. I end up grabbing a first aid spray out of there. Once we end up getting the first aid spray and the shotgun, I make my way into the subway company's offices because there's going to be a suitcase in there. We can use the lockpick to get inside of that and grab some shotgun shells. There is also a document in there titled the Kite Brothers Railway Manual.
This must be the subway company's offices.
I don't bother narrating that because there's not really anything to enhance the story there. It just kind of explains that you can set up a subway route here. Something that is going to come up here in the near future. And here is that document, and this is also the real speed that I'm going through these documents. Whenever I'm narrating a document, I can stay on that page for a long time. But whenever I do that, I'm actually just putting a screenshot into the video. That way you can see exactly what I'm reading. But whenever I'm actually playing the game, I am flipping through those pages really quickly. Getting back to what exactly is happening on screen, after I got done collecting items, I tried to leave the building, only now that I have gotten the shotgun, a zombie decides to break into the building right as I'm trying to leave. I make immediate use of the shotgun and try to line up a headshot. In real time, I wasn't 100% sure if I landed a good headshot on the zombie, so I go ahead and stab it a few times for good measure. From there, I am free to exit the building, and right across from Moon's Donuts is going to be a gateway that we opened up earlier using the bolt cutters. Only I did not go through the gate door. I wanted to get rid of the bolt cutters first to make a little bit of inventory space. And I did not mean to do that. A zombie followed me into the alley and I just blew it up, but I actually meant to save that barrel. No big deal, everything should be just fine. Because down the alley is going to be a collection of items that we really want. There is going to be some little stuff like handgun ammo, but there's also going to be another hand grenade, some shotgun shells, and most importantly is going to be another decorative box, which like I mentioned earlier is going to be incredibly important for us to get some optional items. Only whenever I do go to the end of the alleyway, I realize I have less inventory space than I initially thought. So I needed to go back to Moon's and drop off some items in a storage box. While I was in there, I went ahead and opened up the locker with the lockpick. That ends up giving me access to another hand grenade, and those hand grenades are going to be very important later. There is also a standard gunpowder just chilling on one of the tables. I go ahead and grab that too before I leave. But with all that extra inventory space, I make my way back into the alleyway. Now that zombie that followed me in there is supposed to only appear whenever you try to leave the alley after going all the way to the end of it. Only whenever we do pick up all the items this time around, we end up getting confronted with even more obstacles. So in addition to the zombie that we accidentally blew up a moment ago, whenever we do pick up all the items this time around, there are going to be 2 parasite zombies waiting for us back at the fence. Fortunately, they are going to be on the other side. They eventually will break through the door, but I never give the parasite zombies that opportunity because I end up breaking out the shotgun, firing a few shells at them before finishing them off with the handgun. Ideally, I would have only used 2 shotgun shells there, but 1 extra is not going to hurt me. Although being a little bit too lenient with the ammunition use does end up causing me some problems way down the road. But even then, those were problems I could still get around, which I mostly did by just trying to do the most risky gameplay possible between 2 saves until I eventually was successful, although I did end up dying a bunch of times in the process. So yeah, being a bit lenient with the ammunition early means being a lot more risky later on. And in that scenario, you are going to end up dying a lot more. Then again, this is Inferno Mode on Resident Evil 3, so dying was always going to be part of the plan. You just kind of accept that this is going to take a lot of effort and a lot of time, and then eventually someday you're going to be successful. Like for instance, I'm getting really close to saving for the very first time, and if I end up counting the cutscenes, which do not count against your in-game time, it takes me like 40-ish minutes to do that. The amount of time in this video is inflated because of the intro and because I've been narrating documents. But the actual gameplay I believe totals up to being about 40 minutes before I save for the very first time. But that is only accounting for the successful attempt. Adding up all the times I died prior to this, I think this took me like 6 hours. So yeah, it took me about 6 hours and a lot of dying just to get about 40 minutes of gameplay. And that is nowhere near the worst amount of time I had to dedicate to getting to the next save point. Oh, it got way worse. Before I save though, there is going to be one more document inside of the safe room. I'm going to go ahead and narrate that because it's actually relevant to what we need to do next. The document is titled Facts from the Substation Chief. To all employees, in response to the violent outbreaks across the city, we are implementing an intentional power outage. Once the situation has been brought under control, please activate the 4 breakers ASAP. Once that is done, turn on the main power switch in the control room to reactivate the power grid. And I decided to just go ahead and keep narrating as I was doing my inventory management because I need to move around a bunch of items. I am going to be ditching pretty much everything that I do not need for a moment. Going into the next challenge, I do want at least 3 healing items. And I want the inventory space to pick up a couple of things to include another decorative box. Now the reason I am saving before this very next part is because it is one of the most inconsistent parts of the game. I wouldn't necessarily call it difficult, but for as many times as I have done it, very rarely do I get the exact same result. So the document alluded to the idea that we needed to go ahead and go find 4 breakers, and Jill is going to need to flip those in order to restore power and stop the intentional power outage. The thing is, as we saw earlier, there are a bunch of bug monsters inside of that area. So Jill is going to be chased by a bunch of zombie bugs as she tries to restore power by flipping those 4 breakers. And what you just saw is going to be the only predictable part of me trying to find these breakers, because I stop for a moment, I listen to the footsteps of the bugs, and then I shoot the generator to electrocute and destroy them. After that though, everything starts getting very unpredictable. so this can be a very hectic part of the game, especially because the bugs never stop spawning. No amount of killing them is going to make this any easier. At most, I stop and shoot a generator to just kill the ones immediately nearby me and then run to the next breaker. That buys me a couple of seconds before more of the newly spawned bugs end up finding me, but it does not buy me much time. And after 2 breakers, this was looking like a really good attempt. None of the bugs had managed to hit me and everything was going pretty well. I end up ducking into this little fence line here where the bugs cannot get to me. This is also where you're going to find the next decorative box. And because the bugs cannot get to me, I have a moment to catch my breath and think about what's going to happen next. While I do that, I find more handgun ammo and I find another document. The next document is going to be Chad's notes. What has happened to this place? I've seen some strange shit over the last few days. Those strange bugs building their nests? That metallic smell wafting through the vents? But fuck if it didn't all go straight to hell overnight. I need to check in on my ma uptown, but the boss says I can't leave until I drop all the breakers. God damn it, better finish up quick so I can get out of here. Well, fuck me, my stomach hurts so much I can barely move. At the last breaker, a big ugly bastard of a bug got the drop on me and shoved a big fucking tube down my throat. I managed to get away and somehow kept from vomiting on the spot. Fuck, it hurts. Feels like something's moving inside. Holding it together. Can't believe I haven't puked. Fuck, it hurts. Like I'm gonna tear apart. I think this is it for me. I love you, Mama. Okay, so I said up to this point everything was going pretty good, but here's where everything goes sideways very quickly. Now with these bugs, sometimes they are very aggressive and sometimes they barely hit you at all. I usually don't bother shooting at them whatsoever unless there is a generator nearby. And that's because I'd rather just dodge them, because if you dodge them a bunch of times, more often than not they start to run away from you for no real apparent reason. Then I am usually free to flip the breaker without there being a bug nearby to hit me. It might take a couple of times, but it does happen. And that saves me a bit of ammunition. Normally I don't have to heal too much at this part, although there are occasions where they end up using up every single healing item that I have. And wouldn't you know it, the one successful run I had between this save point and the next one, that is exactly what happened. This ends up being one of my very worst attempts at getting to all the breakers, and I end up barely surviving through this. But yeah, what you have been witnessing has been my default route throughout most of my attempts. It is the one I ended up settling on because I felt like if I ran this route, it would put me in the best position to make full use of the generators. I eventually come full circle to the very first generator that I shot, and because I went in a full circle around and came back to it, that gives it enough time to charge up again to where I can shoot at it one more time. So with the exception of the third breaker, there's always going to be a generator nearby to help you clear out some of the bugs and buy you a little bit of breathing room. And that is the main reason I went with that sequence of generators, although there may be other ones you prefer. With this one I just barely managed to survive with no healing items remaining. Like I said, short of dying, this was one of the worst runs I had through the bug area. But it was good enough and I managed to survive, and now we get to go fry the bugs.
Okay, all that leaves is the main power switch. Enjoy that.
Just like that, the bugs are down. We never have to deal with them again. They literally never make any other appearances for the rest of Resident Evil 3. They were a one-off enemy. So with the bugs out of the way, we are moving away from one of the most unpredictable parts of the game to a much more predictable but also much more difficult part. I am now gearing up because next is going to be the second chase from Nemesis. It is going to be a lot longer and a lot more lethal. Having done this a bunch of times, I have a pretty solid plan for how to handle Nemesis, but still every now and then something just goes wrong. And by every now and then, I mean very frequently. Although more often than not that is usually my fault, so I can really only blame myself for that. Still, after dying a bunch of times, I did formulate a pretty good plan for getting around Nemesis. For now though, I am going to go ahead and wrap up this very first part of my Resident Evil 3 remake playthrough. So yeah, we kicked off the game being chased by Nemesis right after Brad alerted us that this big monster was chasing around all the STARS members. We barely got away from him and then immediately got thrown into the fire against a bunch of other zombies. One thing led to another. Bradvickers ended up dying. We met Carlos way earlier in the remake than we did back in the original. And because of that, the team up of Carlos and Jill is beginning much sooner. The first objective for that new alliance was to restore power to the subway station. We ended up getting a bunch of extra items along the way, and just now we finally accomplished that goal. We did end up having to go through a bunch of bug monsters in order to do that, but fortunately for us we were successful and now they have been bug zapped. I will begin the very next episode with a new objective from Carlos, and also, we will be kicking off the very next episode by getting chased by Nemesis again. So look forward to that, and for now, thank you for checking out this video and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to check out the other things I have on the Thor's Entertainment channel. I already have playthroughs of the remakes of Resident Evil 1 and 2 to check out if you are interested in this, but I also have videos from other games as well. Those include a bunch of different videos from Mortal Kombat games, a lot of them coming from Mortal Kombat 1. Then I also have playthroughs of other games like Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver, and Crash Bandicoot. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, feel free to check it out. Regardless of what you choose to do though, again, thank you for checking out this video. I hope you enjoyed it, take care, and hopefully I will see you next time.